keep us going. Do these replays get posted anywhere? Yes, absolutely. These replays go up on our Discord server for subscribers, or if you're not fancying subscribing, they go on the Patreon page for patrons of $5 or more. So it's basically the same price. Just depends if you want to subscribe. Maybe you don't want to subscribe. Maybe you'd rather go through Patreon. They will go up on Patreon. They will go up on the Discord server for subs. So you guys can check that out. If you're a map maker, you will get the replay pack without having to subscribe or be anywhere in particular. I will set up a thing for the map makers to get the replays of the maps anyways, just so you guys know that. Our Frosty126, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub as we kick off into this best of 3. In the top left-hand side, our red Terran player, this is Cure. And the bottom right, our pink Protoss player is Zest. Game 1 of this best of 3. To kick us off now, just let's have a quick recap of the group at the moment. So, Innovation ends 5-1. Cure is currently 3-1. Rogue is 2-1. Sue is 2-2. I think, sorry, is Sue now 3-2? No, Sue is 2-2 with Rogue left to play. No, that's wrong. Sue is 3-2 with Rogue left to play. Dream is 2-4. Hurricane 1-3 and Zest 0-4. So for Zest, yeah, this is really just sort of must-win territory. If Zest doesn't win here, he is guaranteed out of the group, I'm pretty sure. So if Zest doesn't win this, he's guaranteed eliminated. So it's as simple as that for Zest. This is a must-win series. Hey, what's up, Mindcake? Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you so much for supporting. Thanks so much for joining the Wardy family. As we do see the probe coming around in towards the natural, we do see our Reaper coming up in towards the natural. We'll look to see what's going on. Nexus finishing up from Zest in a moment or two, and the Twilight Council are going to be the initial tech choice here. So again, that Twilight Council up and running. Meanwhile, we do see a couple of probes on the way out. Starport on its way here in the main base as well. Just from Cure, as we have got the Adept coming to chase this SCV down. So SCV already looking to... We'll have to be a little bit careful here. Taking a couple shots from the Adept. Is going to fall. A couple of Marines popping out. Helene coming over. And already this Adept continuing to take quite a bit of damage. He's going to die. So, again, SCV, but going down yourself. That's actually... You don't often see the Adept going down that easily. Just for one SCV. So, nice little defense there from Cure initially. As you will see this Reaper backing away down through the bottom side. And a couple of Hellions and Marines setting up from Cure here on the bottom as well. So just setting out on the natural. A couple of extra gateways coming down. Blink is going to start Corona boosting away on the Twilight Council as well. And again, just going to see Robo Facility coming in on the front. And this Reaper getting chased away by the Stalker. So Stalker able to push the Reaper out through the bottom. As you do have Cloak coming in on the Starport. Banshee going to be on its way out as well. Hellion finishing up. A couple more Marines can maybe come on through here. Excuse me. As Cure continues out into the bottom right-hand side. Do you see this pylon from Zest finishing up then? So looking already to maybe think about a third base as a couple of Stalkers make their way back to the bottom right. And Nexus already drops down here from Zest as well. As you do have the Marines coming over. Actually going to help to catch a Stalker there. And already Zest having to get into defense mode. I mean, these Marines just showing up. No Adepts to worry about across the map or anything. And they'll do quite a fair bit of damage. I mean, considering that there's Blink on the way as well, these Marines have to be careful because continuing to move across the map and these Stalkers can then chase them down and pick up some kills, and then the Marines drop, and then it's not a great scenario, right? But currently not happening at all. The Marines get out back alive, and there's a nice little push to grab an extra unit or two and just put that little bit of extra pressure onto Zest. As you do see, the Banshee coming away down the right-hand side. Alrighty. Probe already taking some shots. Stalkers coming up the right. Banshee going to be turning away then. We do see the Marines and the tank setting up. Warp Prism all the way back up to the top side. And we do just have the Raven about a come on up as well. A couple extra refineries dropping down from Cure. Next stage of this game is going to be obviously with Zest having Blink, Robo Facility up. He is only on 3 gases, so it's still going to be very gateway heavy, immortal focused. You know, 1 or 2 immortals being added in. So that's kind of what we're expecting to see here out of Zest. For the moment, a shield battery or 2 as well. He is up against the Cloak Banshees, so having to deal with this little bit of pressure here. As the Warp Prism across the map gets 3 SCVs already. And here comes the Banshee coming in, getting 3 probes and looking for a couple more. The Stalker's finishing up. Gonna go around and chase this Banshee. To the bottom side. So Banshee is gonna stay alive. I mean, Banshees are always a threat, right? And that's why you've got to get a shield battery in each mineral line. Now, Zest, kind of surprised we don't see the charge upgrade yet, but it will be on the way soon. He's just playing a bit more Stalker heavy, perhaps because he knows as well that it's, you know, Banshee tech, so he knows there's not going to be like a Bioforce as quickly if you invest in the Cloak Banshees, etc. So he's just saying maybe don't need charge right away, focus on getting that Stalker count up, shut down these Banshees easily, don't take much more damage, as the Reaper and the Hellion will not do much here either. They just run on by and they get a little bit of a scout in the lack of gases. Just guess what's back is the Prism. Prism's been very annoying. A couple more workers killed and forcing the pull away. Continue to do very nicely in terms of just harassing over an extended period of time. Hey, thanks so much, Crowbar Barney, for the 13-month resub. Says happy Valentine's Day, our 13-month anniversary, Wardy. Thank you so much for the 13-month resub on the beautiful Twitch Prime. And Foley 1MP extending their Tier 1 subscription through May. I don't even know what that means. I've never even seen that message before. Does that mean you, like, prepaid for the next 3 months? Is that what it means? I don't think I've ever seen that message before. So thank you so much for the extension of your sub. As we do see the few Stalkers back through the center, a few extra Stalkers coming up to the upper left-hand side, a couple of Adepts coming down. And we do see a bunch of Zealots warping in here from Zest, so they're going to be popping in. I'm going to go up in towards the natural expansion. So here goes Zest trying to be aggressive, but into kind of a bit of a wall off initially. I mean, it's not fully walled off, so you can kind of get by. Blinks onto the Raven, which has already dropped its turrets. But man, the Siege Tank's still alive, and with the Siege Tank still alive, the Stalkers haven't blinked in is never pretty for them. Banshee's trying to find a little bit more, but the shield batteries just make it so difficult to really do much, although probably still could have stuck around, gotten a couple of probes eventually by working the way through the shield battery energy. There is still nothing at home from Zest, so not sure what. Maybe he's actually going to bring... Okay, he's bringing the 2 Banshees around together, so then the 2 Banshees together, they don't actually matter as much about the shield battery. They actually do just one-shot probes through it, so that's probably what we're about to see, as we do have Banshee number 2 coming all the way out to the right-hand side. Here comes a Warp Prism, a few Zealots leading the charge up in towards the high ground. Here is Bio going to stim over to the left. A lot of Zealots starting to go down. Here come the Stalkers and the Sentries from the right-hand side. Widowmine's going off. Stalkers taking a lot of damage. I don't like it from Zest. I mean, look how many Stalkers go down. Okay, sure, he's killing a lot of SCVs, but he's going to lose a lot of army. That should open up a counter-attack here from Cure. If he can clean this up right now, he's losing reinforcements, which means that this army fight's starting to go a bit better for Zest. Blinking back in. Kills off a Siege Tank. Zealot's supporting, so he's actually going to start winning the bio fight as well. Those Banshees have killed 11 probes across the map, but that's not really comparable to the 28 SCVs downed by this attack. Cure's third base up in the sky, being pushed away by Stalker shots, and maybe, just maybe, doesn't have enough to hold on any longer. As Cure brings the bio army down to the natural, I mean, he's going to have to give up the third base. And again, these 2 Banshees just are not doing enough to really make up for the damage taken across the map. That said, Zest is on 0 upgrades. Zest does not have a forge in the game, so this attack was really, really committed from Zest to get damage done. He's going to start double forge now. It's a really late double forge to try and get into this game again. And it very much so is just, I've done a lot of damage, but you haven't left the game. You're not completely dead. And in a game like this, Cure can bounce back. You know, now he's cleaned up a bit. Third CC relands. He's only, you know, 7-ish workers behind. Because, in fairness, Zest was on a low worker count to begin with anyways. So he's not actually completely dead in economy either. And right now, I would say he has the stronger army to push with to get a bit more done. Bio coming back up to the top. As you see, 1-1 upgrades coming in on the Forge. Is going to see a Temple Archive starting up in the main base as well. 3 bases. Still just sitting comfy for Zest, as he probably wants a 4th sooner rather than later. He's got a pylon out over here. I'd be surprised if he took that base over this one. This one's set back. He can get like a tank position up here, which is quite nice as the Terran, but there's no tanks left over anymore anyways. It's just wooden mines. So I think this is the base to take. And Zest is actually already mining out these minerals just so he has access through into the center of the map as well. Just open up the map a little bit, as we do see some rocks getting knocked down. And Cure's army continuing to push into the middle of the map right now. So here we go. Cure continuing to be aggressive. Down the bottom side, he's going to take down these rocks as well, opening up this pathway a little bit also. Still going to be pretty narrow due to the mineral blockers here, and they're pretty hard to get rid of unless someone takes a base here, which obviously is not going to happen for a while. How many minerals are on these blockers? I didn't click in time. I think it's 20, right? So you see the bio coming down the bottom. Sim from the Marines and Marauders. A couple of force fields dropping, and one extra one as well. Stalker's still being cautious and blinking back where needed. Zealot run by. Doesn't do anything, and right now Zest is just trying to delay to at least get upgrades, but also Storm coming through. It's going to be some actual splash damage for Zest to utilize, and that's going to be huge for him. As the Warp Prism, you can see it setting up, looking for a way to drop the High Templars down into this army. The Observer keeping track of wherever Cure is moving his army as well. Big stim in from Cure. He's going to commit for this. Couple force fields across the bottom side. There come the High Templars with the Storm, but the Prism gets targeted down. All the High Templars die in this process, and now well, extra Zealots are starting to try and stream on through. There goes the first couple of Widow Mines. The Zealots are just really battering their way through this. They're really struggling a little bit. Widow Mines going off all over the place, as we do see the Stalker Force still coming forwards as well. A couple more Medivacs being shot away at, and the Stalker's blinking up to continue giving chase also. And so we do see them just going to go and get pretty much everything here. So Zest is going to clean up. The only thing he doesn't really get is the Medivacs, which are a little bit harder to replace for Cure, so they're a nice thing to keep alive. 2-2 finishing up for Cure, though. It's a nice time for Zest to fight while upgrades are even, but now upgrades aren't even again. And it's going to be a little bit tough. Medivac's back up to the top. Still this army of Zest here hanging around on the bottom side. We do have a 4th base, which is getting some shields back on, and enhanced shockwaves coming up from Cure. As he takes this army down all the way to the bottom of the map. We do have a Prism. Has 4 High Templar inside. And immediately just going to see a Widow Mine picked off. So starting to move forwards, and the Widow Mines here nicely played by Zest. Really just not allowing these Widow Mines to do much at all. Good splitaways. And he kills the next Widow Mine as well. Has the detection in the form of this Observer, so is able to take that down. A really good cleanup, and Q is in a bit of trouble because he's just not traded well enough to stay in this game, because he's lost income at pretty serious points of this game as well. The resources lost that he's behind, Zest has just got a little bit too much, I think. Especially, I mean, the upgrades are nice for Q, but as soon as Zest hits 2-2, Zest's also got Storms available as well. There's more Zealots, so even more income of Q being shut down. And Zest drops a really good Storm here. It's just given him the chance to kind of force Cure backwards. And as he does that, he's able to get in position on this 3rd base. That's about a drop. I mean, we're talking about economic damage being done. Missing a, sorry, I say 3rd base, but one of the orbitals. It's a 4th base, but it's his main-based orbital. So now he's dropped down to 2 orbital commands, which means he's on even less mules, which is one of the ways in which he's sort of somewhat stayed in the economy game, despite his SCVs being under constant attack from Zealots. 2-2's now done, so these fights should be a lot better for Zest. Although, with the Ghost here, you've always got to remember that those EMPs are going to be scary too. They have enhanced shockwaves, and you can just shred the shields off this entire army. And once those shields are gone, the Protoss army is that much more vulnerable, so you do have to be a bit careful here. As Cure's Bioforce pulling back away out to the left. A couple of Marines going down, another EMP trying to drop. Observer of Zest coming through. It's going to be done shortly as we see Zealots and Stalkers setting themselves up to the far left-hand side. Stalkers coming up, able to pick off a Marine there already. Gonna see a Storm dropping down, really covering the Ghosts in a lot of those Storms, and the Zealots really just coming through. Did they just hold position for a second? It feels like they just stopped. Well, Prism's trying to warp into the fight, which doesn't happen. Now it's just Stalkers left over. I mean, Zest has to jump away again with that blink, and Cure is still pressing forwards. He is long distance mining his fourth base. His natural mined out. He's just going to, relocate the natural expansion at this point. Fight continuing, an extra reinforcement as well does good things for Zest. But then they take a Widow Mine shot, and suddenly they're that much weaker. And Zest blinking through to try and play cleaned up. And again, it just still feels like Zest has the slight edge in these fights. Just has that little bit more to make this work out. Bit more of this Stalker army coming back. Up around the top. As they blink through, a couple of SCVs already starting to go down here, so 3 workers down, make that 4. I mean, the Stalker's just harassing. You can, of course, if you need to, recall these back home if you feel like you're in some real danger here. Widow Mines are going to get good connections. That's just not enough, is it? The Archon surviving especially is just that kind of tanky AoE that's just kind of a bit more consistent through these fights. And in a scrappy game like this, an Archon or 2 really goes a long way to help out. The Storm's in this War Prism as well. Zest hasn't had those for a couple of minutes now just because it has been scrappy. It has been constant warp-ins. Stalker still blinking up to chase the Bio Army away to the top side there. Scan out over to the right-hand side. I'm just going to see these Stalkers continue to blink around into the center. 10 more Marines building up from Cure. And the Stalkers are going to go, and they're able to get rid of the missile turret. The Widow Mine gets picked off as well. All these extra Zealots warping through, and it's still just the supply gap opening between Zest and Cure. Zest just having the extra base kind of consistently and just having the extra probes to work with has really helped towards the enemy. Look at that income difference as he continues to drop these storms. Cure types out a GG. And Zest just found that little slight edge, that little slither of hope to give him the advantage. And that was enough to take Zest through into a victory in this first game. But only just. He had to really, really work hard. Alrighty. In the bottom left, Zest is in pink. Cure is in blue. What a great Valentine's cast in StarCraft 2 for you. As we have our build setting up on Old Forgotten Temple. Balance setting up. And no proxies to start the game. Let's have a look around the map. It's another of these maps that doesn't have too much hidden away, nicely detailed in the center, but you know, some maps have got you know, these crazy things around the sides. There's a Colossus that's like, I mean, that's like a crashed down like Protoss fleet over here, right? Yeah, that's definitely a Colossus flag. What crashed into it though? I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, it was fun to look around the maps and try and see what's up. What's this symbol? Does anyone know what the symbol is? Actually, don't know what that symbol is. It's on all the bases? No, just the ones in the... Just the ones on this textured ground. Okay, nothing too crazy then. It is a nice map though. I do like this sort of like, I guess, overgrowthy color of like yellow with a little bit of green mixed in. It's always just been a classic, right? It's like very, you know, it's not overly crazy. It's not overly in your face. It's just, it's still visually pleasing at the same time, you know? It still gives you that little bit of a, oh yeah, you know, this looks good. Probe pulls back down the bottom left-hand side as the scout gives Zest the information he needs. Cure goes no scout this game. We'll just wait for the Reaper to come across, so a little bit greedy. If something like a proxy gate came down while he was going no scout, you're in a lot of trouble pretty early on. So there's something to keep in mind as we do see the Reaper is able to come up over here. It's not able to go up over here. It's got a little barrier saying, no, you shall not jump here. You'd think Terrans, the more that these like little maps have, you know, little barriers and stuff and little blockades to kind of stop Reapers jumping up, You'd think the Terrans would just invest in some technology to improve the Reaper jump, right? That's what I want to see. You know, give the... Let's make it ridiculous. Give supply depots an upgrade to increase Reaper jumps. Just so we can get it, like, first supply depot finishes, you go Reaper, and then you don't have to have a reactor or anything. You just go supply depot, upgrade Reaper jump, and Reapers can just scout everywhere. You know, why shouldn't a Reaper be able to just jump this far? You know, take a leap sometimes. Especially if you're about to die. I really feel like if a Reaper's about to die and it's about to go and run away, are you telling me you're okay making a jump like this, but this is too scary? What's the worst that's going to happen? You land in the bushes? You should go for it, Reapers. Reapers need to YOLO a little bit more. As we do have the Cyclone. Building up here from Cure early. So the early scout from Cure doesn't really reveal too much. Yeah, it doesn't really see much at all. Hellion still out, hasn't seen much either, as we do see the Adept making its way over. Hellion ends up escaping out to the right-hand side. Phoenix coming up from Zest in the main base, and another Stalker from Zest is finishing up on the natural expansion. If the Reaper fell in the water, his fires would go out and he'd be useless. He's useless if he gets stuck in the base and dies anyways. You know? That's what I'm saying. Just make the jump. At worst, you die anyways. At best, maybe you, like, clip the edge, you stumble and fall, and you get up and you run away. See, this is the realism we're missing in StarCraft 2. Units that just try to make jumps. It's the RNG you didn't know you wanted. Does the Reaper make a jump, survive, or does it... Yeah, okay, maybe in a mod. I'd love to see a map where sometimes Hellions just accidentally, like, you know, misfire and, like, roast themselves, you know, burn their tires off. Or, like, tires can get punctured, so Hellions go slow. You're trying to run your Hellion way in a straight line, and it starts, like, curving off one way instead of the other. Right? Alright, guys, that's this game. Lots of Phoenix here from Zest. As we do see the Phoenix making their way toward the upper right-hand side. As we do just have the, Marines and a Cyclone hanging around here from Cure, just again keeping those Phoenix at bay for the moment. And again, Stimpack, +1 attack on the way in. Phoenix continuing away over the right hand side and still thinking about maybe coming in, try and get some damage. Obviously, that's what they want to do. With the Phoenix, you typically go straight up and towards the Robobane Colossus. There's a couple players who play like a Phoenix count into like charge lots. But the Colossus is the more common way to go about it, and that's exactly what Zest is going to go for here. He leads this series. Remember, this is a must-win series for Zest. You lose this matchup and you are absolutely 100% eliminated, I believe. Did you see the Phoenix coming through and picking up a couple of units here in the main base? Cyclone in some trouble as well, as you will just have it being dropped back down. Like Council and a Forge down here. Colossus and Extended Thermal Lands building up. Yeah, a lot of setting up, a lot of getting ready to go. Zest still going to keep these Phoenix around and bring them down toward the third base. Cannon dropping in, shield battery getting set up. +1 attack on the Forge, charge starting. All the upgrades which just kind of bring you level into the mid game right now. Don't need Blink because you're playing the Phoenix instead, so the Phoenix kind of cover that mobility and the, you know, drop control, etc. So you kind of find there you can just go straight to charge and play that later Twilight Council. While still getting +1 attack as well, because you're still kind of relying on the Colossus being quite powerful. Like, the Zealots are great with +1 armor, don't get me wrong, they're amazing to have +1 armor on, but the Colossus really are the firepower units, and to give them +1 attack really helps a lot when it comes to just cleaning up these Marines nice and quick, so that's the kind of style that we're seeing. As the first push of the game from Cure makes its way across the map. So, talking about this a couple times in previous series, where the idea of this map has a couple of slots where you can just set the tank up and the tank can kind of fire over the rocks while being very safe from like Zealots charging onto it, etc. And that's not quite what we see here. The tank doesn't go that far forwards, but there is this choke point that Cure's trying to control, and he's just looking to see if there's a way for him to maybe start to push through that. The Phoenix of Zest just patrolling, watching for the drop at the same time, because that's the next typical maneuver, right? You see the, you know, first two medevacs coming with this push, and then the next two just load up reinforcements and take them to the main. But when this observer sees Medivacs 3 and 4, the Phoenix stop patrolling because he knows the drops aren't going to the main. He knows they're right here, so he's going to keep them around just in case a fight starts off. And then he can be immediately ready to lift up, have those Phoenix in play, because they are, you know, part of the composition. They're part of something you want in this army. And Zest will go in towards the double AoE switch from just 2 Colossus, so already cutting that a little bit sooner than you might usually see. He's already now going to start going in towards a Disruptor. He's going to start going in towards Storm. As these Zealots get seen, but they're also intercepted pretty quick. And a small amount of Zealots like this without armor, they don't last long at all, so they're going to try and make their way to the 3rd base, but will not do great. Mine blows up a Phoenix. Couple Widow Mines blowing up Phoenix here so far. Still the army of Zest out around the left-hand side. Some extra Zealots going to be warping in. Losing the Phoenix now, though, I mean, it just takes away a lot of what you invest into, and I feel like those Phoenix didn't do as much as Zest maybe would have wanted. And I bet now it kind of gives up a little bit of opportunity to maybe kind of drop a bit more as Cure. As he's wanting to try and get through here. Storm is ready, and Cure just kind of runs into the Storm. Cure, please, micro a little bit. At least, you know, it's very, very hard to defend you a little bit when you just run into Storms like that. And, I feel like if you see a temple like that, you split a few units in front, right? And they go forwards, and you force a Storm on those, then a few other units come in. He just went for it. That was like a no respect play, because he's like, yeah, you're Zest. You're not going to pay attention to your Templar and storm me in time. Of course you're not. Like, it's kind of BM when you play like that. And he pays for it. He loses pretty much the entirety of his army. So, a little bit of a BM play, and Zest is like, yeah, shut up, mate. I'm not stupid. I've got Templar here. I'm going to drop my Storms down if I need to. As we do have our army from Zest continuing up to the top side. Robo facility dropping down on the natural expansion. 4 bases up from Zest. Disruptors pushing through to give the opportunity to kind of go in towards these couple of positions. So Disruptors end up at the front. You see our extra Ghosts coming out here. Going to be seeing the Vikings gathering together. We're going to get an Observer in the scan, which they just kind of fortunately catch. And had Shockwaves coming through as well, so those Ghosts are going to get the power up to boost their EMPs, really make them that much more powerful. Stalkers and Disruptors out in the center. The Colossus splitting up a little bit. We do just see the extra cannons coming on through. As we have got the span dropping down there once again. Sensor Tower comes in from Cure on the 3rd base, so getting that rolling as the command center finishes up. That can lift up. That can go to the 4th base perhaps. Still just seeing kind of like a Stalker Disruptor army hanging out here from Zest. Middle of the map, just kind of chilling, just kind of waiting to see what's up. I mean, the thing is, if you hold a position like this, if the Cure starts moving forwards to the army and you get a Disruptor shot off, it could just catch him off guard. So, as long as you feel safe against the drops, which, I mean, let's face it, Zest's map vision is very good. He sees pretty much anything coming his way. Oh my god, he got half the Ghosts. If he just moved that Disruptor shot up a little bit, he would have been able to get all of the Ghosts there. I mean, it's already a great Disruptor shot, but it could have been just that little bit sweeter. What a connection that is. The Stalkers blink in. And if that goes down, a Cyclone from earlier goes down. Big EMPs have connected. Next Disruptor will be denied before the connections go off, and Zest maybe going a bit too far forward. He's going to lose some of his important units here, especially the Disruptor count. Going to get completely shut down. New Disruptor. Oh my god, that was short. And he's actually just losing all his Disruptors as Cure comes across. Now Zealot's going to charge in toward the 3rd base at the same time. And this is what Zealots do best, of course, showing up in high numbers and really causing chaos. As this fight continues, the Vikings will land against purely Stalkers. The Vikings get a bonus damage and they shred. And right now that is becoming very apparent as we do see this bottom side base is continuing to be picked away at. It will go down. The Zealot attack didn't kill that many SCVs. Couple depots here and there, but, and some reinforcements, but not really much else. These probes get EMP'd. If they're going to be used to tank, it's actually not such a bad idea. They drop quickly anyways, yes, but still, if you've got an EMP to use, why the heck not use it? Vikings getting stormed. They take down the Colossus just before they all drop down. Again, Cure just sitting and eating that storm there. That's a bit of a gamble. I mean, if they drop down just before the Colossus dies, maybe this Colossus continues to play cleanup, but we're back to kind of pure Stalker, a couple High Templar, a couple Disruptors. It's just not enough kind of stand-up AoE or stand-up army that can take hits continuously through the course of a fight here. Another Storm on the bio, which has to back away down the ramp. Another Zealot or two getting picked off. Command Center trying to make its way to the bottom right-hand side. As we do see the collection of units here from Cure gathering up as well. Dark Shrine from Zest in the third base also. There's a few extra Zealots around the top. Gonna make their way up to... I'll get into one of these bases somewhere along the way. Again, just trying to run by while Cure's looking for the larger fight. I mean, if Cure finds the larger fight, he's gonna have a great time. And by the way, it's the upgrade that's been influential in this as well. Just missing an armor upgrade is Zest. It just means even those Zealot run-bys go down that little bit faster, especially against +3 attack. These, as you can see, even just 4 Marines in a bunker are actually getting Zealot kills. And that's something you don't usually sort of expect to happen. As you see the Disruptors, again, they have to be looking for their shots very carefully here. It's a really fine line between these units being too far forwards and able to connect. That's a Disruptor shot that will land. It's a nice one for Zest. But yeah, it's a really fine line between these Disruptors firing too close to the army and just far enough away. This one connects, but not much. And, well, it's just Solid Stalker that's left over here. I mean, there's just armies everywhere. 2 reinforcing Disruptors go down. Because Cure's coming through the center of the map, he's kind of just showing up, and Zest's not really ready to deal with a fight in that position. And Zest is basically left only with Stalkers that end up blinking away up this right-hand side. Couple of Marauders going down. But the Stalker count is still just dropping. I mean, this base drops, all the probes are going to fall. Don't know why SCVs were across the map here. I mean, it's just been another chaotic game. Maybe not quite as chaotic as what game number 1 was, but it's still been chaotic. It's still been a bit crazy, and Zest ends up typing out GG to give Cure game 2 of this best of 3. And Cure is maybe going to still eliminate Zest's chances of advancing through the group. If he can win game 3, then Zest keeps doing this, winning map 1, and then ends up not winning the series. It's been a really rough group for him so far. Let's see if he can pull it together for the map number 3. In the top left-hand side, our red Terran player is Cure. Up against the pink Protoss in the bottom right-hand side, Zest. Ricky Thugs, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime for 1 whole year. Can we get some love in the chat for the 1-year resub-arino? Thank you so very much. Fun series. Really fun series between Zest and Cure so far. Has been really awesome so far. Just fun games back and forth. No real chilling out. Go Cure, go says Ricky Suggs. Go Zest says Warpig1958. Getting some hype in the chat for the players. Reminder, guys, the European group starts again in 2 hours' time. We are going to try our best to start that on time. But we might have to miss one of the best of 3s here. I'll have to try and figure out exactly what that schedule's kind of looking like. So yeah, we'll try and figure that out to the best of our abilities as we, for the moment, get this set to go. Pro coming up and trying to be a little bit annoying. SCV's coming down. Cybernetics core on the way from Zest. And the orbital command will start from Cure in the main base. So getting that orbital command up and running. Reaper on the way out as well. Hey, thank you Divinasia TV for the 34 bits and Warpig for the 100 bits. Thank you guys. Appreciate the love. Is that the first bits of the day? I feel like they're the first bits of the day. SCV back out into the center here. Probe from Zest still continuing down to the bottom right. Nexus about halfway done. Factory building up in the main base as well. Just going to see the CC on the natural. SCV from Q still moving along. SCV still moving its way into the upper left-hand side. And the Adept from Zest again looking to try and see a little bit else of just, again, what is perhaps happening as the Nexus finishes up on the natural expansion. Twilight setting up as well. With the Reaper coming in to scout. Single Hellion as well, just in case the Reaper doesn't scout. The Hellion can maybe scout also. So a couple of ways just to pick up info early, but the Adept is here and pushes the SCV, or pushes the SCV off the natural base, so it does delay that just a little bit. And it's still around, but Hellion and 2 Marines, it's a good defense, and realistically it's enough to keep this SCV alive and to keep the natural CC building. Blink on the way up, as we do see the Robo facility dropping down from Zest. Hellion into Reaper from Cure, just making its way out across to the right-hand side of the map at the moment, so coming out over to the right. Raven is setting up here from Cure as well, next to Raxa 2 dropping down, factory building the tech lab. And just going to be seen still at this stage with the Blink opening. Zest setting up the Robo as well. Real question comes down to, again, how many gates do you take as Zest? When do you start up your forges? He's going to go to 3 bases here pretty quickly. And again, when do you take the forge after that? When do you expand from that point on? As we do see the Robo facility about to complete from Zest. And the natural expansion, Reaper and the Hellion pressing forwards. The Stalk is able to pop those back for the moment as well. Adept just patrolling at the front then, as we do see the stim pack setting up from Cure. Rack's going to lift off, come towards the other tech lab. And again, Blink is about to complete as the Reaper and the Hellion still coming down the right-hand side. This probe of Zest continues over towards the 3rd base, so that will be in position. Start mining away. Yeah, with stim pack already coming through off the 3 racks, it's just nice quick upgrades, right? You know, not too much messing around from Cure, just the Raven before those bio players come through, so it's pretty quick to just a lot of bio. So that's what we're currently seeing as the Adept patrolling out the front. And the Observer of Zest still just flying forwards. Observer spotting this Marine Marauder force. So Gates of Zest dropping down. Just going to be seeing our Stalkers from Zest out through the center, some up to the top. Stem, combat shields, all the good stuff as 4 gateways continue to build on up. On Lightshade, one of the maps which, as the auto turret expires, it's one of the maps where it is, you know, standard. 3 bases come up. It's got that kind of Acropolis-esque sort of expansion pattern. So you can get 3 bases. 4 base usually comes down here. Sometimes players will take a 4th up here. This 4th's pretty set back and a bit far away. I think this is generally going to be the 4th base despite its openness. See what sort of direction Q decides to attack into as well, because that will tell us a bit about how this is going to go overall. The Warp Prism on the way from Zest to apply some pressure. I mentioned, you know, his gate count and his forge timing is going to tell us a lot. He's going to be pretty aggressive. You know, he's only on 57 probes because he's only on 3 gases, so he hits that kind of max saturation without gas pretty quickly. And once you're there, you're really just going like a lot of Zealots, a lot of Stalkers. The one Immortal you add in or so. That's not a good start. Just blink the Stalkers back up. Good response. But again, the no forge is very interesting. It does make this almost more all-in. The same as the first game we saw here. Maskia finds 7 probes kills with the Raven. Make that 8. As he actually stims up here as well. The force field's a little slow and maybe a little bit too much allowed through. As we do see the bio still coming in. Couple sentries from the bottom side. And just going to be having a couple of Marauders still taking some damage. Immortal firing away. Widow Mines here and there going off. And the 3rd CEC from Cure setting up over to the side. Again, a couple more shots from the Stalkers. We do just see Observer still hanging around up in the skies as the bio stemming in again. With the sentries here, the force fields are kind of, you know, keeping this back. The issue is from Zest, though. Right, where does this game go for him? Because he's not the one with a forge. He's not the one teching up. So while Q is, you know, attacking in, third CC's morphing into an orbital. Wouldn't mind shots going off here and there too. I mean, yeah, he's just the one that's, you know, Zez is the one that's defending. He's being forced to kind of stay on this tech, but it's not like his tech was that great to begin with, right? Usually Zest is the aggressor into this, and he's meant to be trying to punish Q a little bit and kind of jumping on Q, and it feels like Zest just doesn't have that army supply momentum to sort of just overrun Q. And after losing these probes over in the main base, it feels like he's never really regathered numbers from that either. Just down on 50 workers, so he's way down on economy. He doesn't have the upgrades. And Q is just playing a very non-committal style where, you know, if he starts to get in trouble, he just backs away and lets the Widow Mines deal some damage. And by the time Zest gets enough to realistically push across the map, Q is going to have 1-1 upgrades on his side. And he's going to have a lot of medevacs to play with. And it just feels like Zest's army really isn't going to be able to do much at all. Very ready for Zest to maybe prove me wrong. Very ready for him to come across and be like, well, just look at the power of unupgraded Zealot Stalker. But I just don't see how. Like, when he did in the first game, he had that overwhelming number of kind of forces. That's not the case here at all. The Stalkers don't have the blink, so they do take the Widowmine shot to the face. Next, a little bit of a warping out down to the bottom as we do see our army of Cure looking to push across to the right side. Zealots and Stalkers gathered up. And these rocks in the middle do choke up this map a lot. He's actually going to be Cure kind of taking this down because he wants to push through. He wants to be able to get to the other side of this. He wants to fight this. So he's trying to get there at the moment. Zealots will start to warp into the main base. And we are going to see a couple of these fire units immediately in some trouble with the SCVs getting force fielded. So, I mean, this is where Zest starts to maybe multitask a little bit and make Cure's life difficult. But, I mean, just look at how much gas Zest has. He's only on 3 gases and he has so much in the bank because what was he meant to warp in with it? I mean, maybe he could have kept on building Immortals. Maybe he could have added a Temple Archives and just added some Archons too. I mean, any of that would upgrade the army comp. But he's still just sounding like Zealot Stalker with the 1 Immortal he made earlier in the game. And like I say, it just doesn't feel like this game has an end point for Zest, which is going to be positive, right? Like, it just doesn't feel like that's really something that's going to happen here. I don't see it. As you see the bio stemming forwards, try and catch some of these Stalkers. I mean, Hero's already on his way towards 2-2, up 40 supply. Yeah, I just don't... Obviously, Zest is trying to, like, hit a big timing. But when Q started attacking, maybe he just took too much probe damage or so. Because when Q started attacking, Q just never let up the pressure, and Zest never got across the map. And now, his army just looks kind of silly. I mean, here comes Q, he gets up the ramp, force fields very late. So that obviously doesn't help. A couple auto turrets to help out too. I mean, this isn't even a close fight. It's 1-1 versus 0-0. A good amount of bio up units. You're past that kind of critical mass where bio beats gateways by a long way, right? Like, gateways have this number where it's just like it does overrun bio. But there's a point where you hit too much bio and too many upgrades that it's just never going to lose. And that was, again, that point happened like 3 or 4 minutes ago. It was just QS slowly working his way into a fighting position again. And when he got that big fight, it was just, it was not even close. And again, feels like